you're looking sharp.
Thank you. Do you mean the hair of the jacket? Neither. Yeah.
A mix between Jason Statham and what's his name for Talking Heads?
David Byrne. Jason Statham's very generous of you. Thank you.
You look like you could have been a diver back in the day.
A diver?
He was a diver.
Oh no, he was. Yeah, he was in the Commonwealth Games, wasn't he?
He's in 9th position.
2.8.
A much better diver than he is an actor.
What are you doing? Fuck!
We did the drink-along rules to From Russia with Love. I won't go through all the rules again. We'll put them down below. But basically, it's what you can imagine in a James Bond film.
Last time we forgot to make note of how many drinks we had. And sorry to all 25 of you. From Russia with Love, 63 drinks we had for this movie.
They were dealing with Bond.
Who is
Bond. Bond.
compared with Kronstein?
Exactly.
We watched From Russia with Love, which is the second James Bond movie. Yet again, directed by Terence Young, who carries on bringing his class and his particular style to the Bond franchise and cementing, I think, that with this second film.
If it's not my favourite, it's close to my favourite Bond movie. I'm not saying it's the best.
But I think it is the best movie in the franchise. It may not be the best Bond movie, because the stuff that we associate with Bond isn't that heavy in it. The story and the intrigue and the espionage is very heavy, and the Bond cliches are a little bit to the side. So in many ways, I think this is the best spy movie, best Cold War movie in the franchise.
The next one is going to be Goldfinger, which is the one that a lot of people always pick out as being the greatest one ever. And I really like Goldfinger. But I think this is the thing with Goldfinger is the point possibly where it tips into starts becoming Bond movies.
We still use Spectre rather than Smersh like in the books. It's Spectre using the West and the Soviet Union against each other. Throughout the film there's all these little details about how Russia and the West are spying on each other.
They're Bulgarians working for the Russians. They follow us, we follow them. It's a sort of understanding we have.
That's very friendly.
It's set up from when Blofeld is talking about the fishes, and he's got these fighting fish, and he says, like, you know, the fish are fighting and another fish is watching.
In a very short scene, it basically explains what Spectre is. Because you don't really get that in the first one. You know that Dr. No is, like, involved with Spectre, and they're this sort of international sort of terrorist organisation. In this one, he kind of explains what the philosophy of Spectre is and what their aims are. And he does it very, very quickly and succinctly and neatly. It's a shame that they had to get two fish to peck each other's faces off. But anyway.
As a standalone movie, it's a wonderful espionage thriller that I think if it wasn't a Bond film would still be considered a classic. Real espionage. It's who can you trust? Why are they doing this? It's almost closer to a John le Carré novel. On its own, it's a wonderful spy film, but it's also a direct sequel to Dr. No, which often they say Quantum of Solace, this is the first, this follows straight on. No, From Russia with Love, the first sequel did it, where they said this is Spectre's vengeance on James Bond for what he did in Dr. No.
It was Sylvia Trench.
Trench,
Well, she's back again.
Yep, she's back. He's got his regular squeeze back in London. Xenia Onatop would be his regular squeeze.
Oh, very good. You know, I'm going to have a drink to that.
Sylvia Trench is back, and they sort of make... There's a few references back to Dr. No, where she's just like, you went off to Jamaica and didn't come back for a while.
6 bloody months.
I think he was there for like 4 days.
He was not in Jamaica for 6 months.
Imagine the debriefing after Dr. No. Okay, so say that again. He had metal hands. There's a whole organisation that wants to take down the world.
Yeah. So a dragon? What?
I also think that just the setting of this movie, again, we're in an espionage, real world thriller. Because the first one is in Jamaica, which isn't, during the Cold War, particularly known as a hotspot. The Cold War was at its coldest in Jamaica. Cuba is fucking boiling. But that's very much a kind of just beautiful location. And this one is set in Istanbul, which has been a centre of intrigue and spies and for millennia, years. There's the great Five Fingers, which stars James Mason as a real spy during World War II who was selling British sort of secrets to the Germans. Istanbul is a centre of espionage, and it's a much more, I think, interesting location for the setting of the film.
But it is sort of known as kind of the crossroads of sort of East and West. It's the meeting point of kind of Europe and Asia as well.
Thank you.
It's like an orc from Lord of the Rings.
So the story is Spectre is annoyed with Bond because he murdered their Chinese doctor, and they want to set up a thing where they fuck over James Bond, but they also create more... they basically want World War III to happen so they can pick up the pieces. Number 5, who's this chess master. He's a man who's always 3 steps ahead of the game.
Well, you see him win a chess match at the start. That's how you know he's smart.
I once lost a chess game in the minimum moves you can lose in a pub. This genius creates this plan to basically make East and West relations worse.
The plan is for them to engineer a plot so that Bond steals this Soviet code-breaking machine.
Your clock, is it correct?
So obvious it's him. Is that the time? Is that the exact time? I need to know.
Excuse me, you did say your clock was correct.
Russian clocks are always correct.
Did anyone suspicious enter the building immediately before the explosion? How about the man who asked the time twice? The British man who asked the time twice.
The one with the gas mask.
In doing so, they basically serve up a patsy for him, an attractive woman, because it's not just him stealing the machine. They want to humiliate him as well. So part of the plan is that she will seduce him as well, and they'll basically entrap him in a very, very early version of the fappening.
Yeah.
I love this.
Don't fall in love with pictures of film stars.
But not a Russian cipher clerk with a file photo of a British agent. Unless she's mental.
It's probably my favourite Connery movie. This is him firing on all cylinders, and it's just the right tone for him, the whole thing. Robert Shaw is fantastic in the movie. The first proper henchman.
He's introduced as the sort of the equal to Bond because he's almost literally murdering Bond in the pre-credit sequence. And then the next time you see him is he's sort of relaxing. He has this sort of half-naked woman massaging him. He's absolutely the equal of Bond in every respect.
I mean, interestingly enough, if we ignore the pre-credit sequence, the first time we really see both characters are by a lake with a woman. They are mirror images.
I really love the scene where Rosa Klebb just nails him in the gut with her brass knuckles. It really looks like she wallops him in the stomach there. I mean, he's sucking in the gut a bit in that way that all sort of pre-1980s hard men did.
Sucking in his gut a little bit there.
Yes, yeah. Roll out the barrel chests.
He's had 6 pints for lunch, so he has to. They do it so well, the way they have him in the shadows.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. He appears very, very briefly, and then there's that superb scene on the train station where Bond is walking along the platform and he's being shadowed, and he never sees him, and Red Grant's got the drop on him all the way through that. Yeah, Bond being totally out-Bonded.
And then when he eventually has his alter ego. He murders him. He tells a man, "Let's go to the toilet," and kills him. And then he takes over the identity as an MI6 agent.
He has these sort of two tells. One is him repeatedly saying "old man."
You know how it is, old man.
Whatever you say, old man.
Oh, there you are, old man. Well, enjoy your dinner, old man.
How does it feel, old man? Old man.
And there's this idea that sort of, well, of course, any true Englishman would never say old man, you'd say old boy. I've never fucking said old boy in my life.
No. Except to the film Jack.
Very good.
Red wine with fish. Well, that should have told me something.
The movie makes a big deal about this idea that he has blown his own cover because he doesn't get these little idiosyncrasies, these very, very specific middle class, upper middle class English idiosyncrasies right.
Maybe that is just a problem with the British hierarchy system, that the only men who have these fucking jobs of power are people who have gone to boarding school and people who have gone to the best. And he is a man who didn't.
The movie doesn't present it to you as like it's this, this sort of nonsense, like it's a sort of criticism of, the boarding school system and the class system. It presents it to you as, look at this idiot, he should have known better than to order the red wine with the fish.
Red wine with fish.
Total snobbery.
It is snobbery. I mean, that comes back to your least favourite line in the movie.
Not mad about his tailor, are you?
Bond has had many, many bad jokes over the years, but him just sort of saying, I'm not overly keen on this tailor, it's not even funny. We don't all have tailors. Some of us buy our dinner jackets from eBay, Sean. We cut our own hair and we buy our jackets on eBay. I should hate Bond. He's everything that I'm not. He's this, but entitled.
Connery is so fucking likable. He has his suspicions about Grant, but he doesn't act on them. And then we have, which may be the best scene in the movie, the scene where Bond's a bit unsure, and Red Grant takes a pistol and, sort of knocks him out for a second, and then he does reveal the plot. But he's doing it in a, I fucking bettered you. I'm better than you, you prick. And it's a wonderful sequence. And it completely sums up his character, where there's this competition in him and he's a psychopath and he wants to humiliate him. It's such a good sequence.
And then you get into the fight. That fight scene is superb. It's frantic, it's nasty. You get the feeling like it's a genuine fight. You're concerned for Bond's safety. And it's not like a glamorous fight scene. And as you said, the noise of the door and everything.
And then when the fight scene's over, he is absolutely shot.
He's sweating.
His hands bleeding. He was this close to dying. And what's interesting is he ends the fight by stabbing him with a secret knife. But the other villain, Spectre equivalent of Bond, uses his gadget. So it's completely, they're equal. They both have their little secret tricks. It's one of the great fight sequences in movies, let alone Bond.
You won't be needing this, old man.
Daniela Bianchi
is one of the best Bond girls they ever had, because she's a fully formed character. She has a point in the movie. She doesn't just swim in. She is a woman who believes she's working for Smersh, but she's being used by Spectre. And again, it comes back to that this is a real spy movie. It's not just like, here's a pretty woman who's walked off the street who fancies him.
She's being played for a fool by Spectre in a similar way to that Bond is being played for a fool as well.
And throughout the movie, all the way to the end, there's this great thing, which is, how much can Bond trust her? It does move throughout the film, where at the end it's her choice about who she picks. I mean, it's a wonderful character. It's great. She's wonderful, and she's wonderful in it, I think.
Rosa Klebb's glasses look like some joke glasses.
She's got the Groucho Marx moustache. If you use the soap in the bathroom, it's got the dirty thing, you know. I think Rosa Klebb is a wonderful character. The poison shoe is really interesting because at that point, it's not that fucking far-fetched. Someone was killed on
Waterloo Bridge. Georgie Markov with the ricin pellet and the umbrella. I like Rosa Klebb because the movie begins with Rosa Klebb basically being hauled in front of number ones, the would-be Blofeld. She gets like a bollocking from the headmaster. So she's always a bit sort of terrified. And she knows that kind of this is a fucking last chance. She's got to do this. At the end, particularly when they have that very brief sort of fight in the hotel room, I think it makes her a little bit more scary because you know this is her last roll of the dice.
Again, I think what's wonderful about the climax of the film, the very last scene isn't a big shootout. It isn't ninjas attacking a volcano. It ends with James Bond with a chair pushing a desperate woman against the wall as she tries to kill him with a poison shoe, while Tanya is trying to pick her allegiance of who to kill. I mean, this is an astonishing end to a James Bond film. Everyone has their own motivation. It's wonderful. And it's small scale, but you care. Fucking brilliant.
What would have been really funny if he'd instantly forgotten the trick with the briefcase?
Had red eyes for the rest of the film.
Yeah.
This has our first pre-credit sequence, where Red Grant seemingly kills 007.
It doesn't quite work, not because of what's happening, because it's a Spectre operative kind of getting the best of a version of Bond. It doesn't work because the only way to do it was to have Connery do it. This is basically the ending of The Man with the Golden Gun. As a pre-credit sequence, obviously I know there's this thing where you watch it for the first time and you don't know that. So you go, oh my god, Bond's been shot.
Well, strangled.
But when you see it's a mask, it's sort of...
They introduce the fucking Mission Impossible masks in this.
Yes.
And you can see that they've gone for a thing where they put him in very heavy makeup to sort of make it not quite Connery. It's this thing that they've done in a couple of Bond films where the pre-credit sequence is this like, Bond's dead. In Thunderball, it starts where the rifle barrel shrinks and then it shows JB and it pulls out and it's a coffin. In You Only Live Twice, the very next movie, he dies in the beginning. Skyfall, he's shot and falls into the water. This is a very common thing where the opening, they go, oh, fooled you. It's a James Bond movie. He's not dead in the first 10 minutes. And I think this is one of these things where they want these moments that are memorable in the film. And I think this is something that isn't integral to the plot and isn't that well executed and is one of the few things in From Russia With Love that I don't like. And what's interesting, when you think that in that opening, that's not Bond, that's a man in a mask, Bond doesn't appear for the first 12, 15 minutes in this movie. It's setting up all these other characters, which is another reason I like this Bond movie, is that when they show this master planner who's playing chess, really the whole movie is his game of chess and how he fucks it up. And Bond is just one of those pieces. And we set up the Tatiana Romanova, and we set up Red Grant, we set up all these other pieces, and Bond is part of it. That would just be the direction you're going in.
Yeah. Straight ahead. The opening credits. So with Dr. No, it is an opening credit sequence, but it's not a Bond opening credit sequence. This one, again, feels more like a prototype version.
Matt Monro's theme, I love that song. I love From Russia From Love, and I think he sings it beautifully. I had James Bond big themes, I had the CDs. I think I owned about 3 over the years. I would listen to it as a, 10, 11, 12. I used to listen to the James Bond themes on a...
10, 11, 12, 20, 30.
For a nation have been remarkable.
Soundproofing of that wall is great.
Our work here meets with your approval.
Training is useful.
Such a crowded training area. Like an accident is definitely going to happen.
Alfred Hitchcock says he wanted 3 big moments in his films. So in Psycho you got the shower sequence, you've got the reveal, and another one.
There's only 2 bits in Psycho then. He didn't even live up to his own formula.
Maybe the stair.
The stair's a great moment, yeah.
Cubby Broccoli and Harry Saltzman decided that they wanted way more big moments in their movies. So they throw things in there. So most pre-credit sequences aren't related to the plot. It's just something that you can remember and there's a big moment. And there's one thing that stands out in this movie that is completely unnecessary, and that's the gypsy lady fight. Unrelated to the plot. It just leads up to a threesome.
It'd be funny if it said 6 weeks later.
Where the hell is 007? He's still at gypsy camp.
He's got a beard.
Tanya sneaks into his hotel room and she's lying in bed, and this sequence where they first meet is used for all James Bond auditions since.
Subsequently, that's the screen test that you do, is the walk in the room with a gun with the lady in the bed and make a quip about how you can fuck her in the mouth.
I think my mouth is too big.
No, it's the right size. For me, that is.
It's such an awkward line because she says, I think my mouth's too small, and he says
Too big.
Oh, did she say too big?
If she said too small, that's a terrible thing for him to say. I've got a micro penis.
Yeah.
You won't feel a thing.
If you can make this awful line work, then you've got a shot of being Bond.
This film has my favourite M moment.
Dushka, tell me the truth. Am I as exciting as all those Western girls?
Oh, once when I was with Em in Tokyo, we had an interesting experience.
Thank you, Miss Moneypenny. That's all.
Wish he'd said Bangkok. Seriously, I want to know what happened there.
Did they just sleep with each other? Is that what happened? I've always disliked this map they use though, because it's impossible to really know where they are.
You can't read a thing. Where? Mordor?
I'll meet you at the Prancing Pony.
James Bond? Not seen him for 6 months. What have you got? That is a vodka martini. I'm getting one. I do think it's my favourite Bond movie, and it's definitely in the top 5 Bond movies of all time.
It's a fucking great movie.
We'll drink to that in London.
Did Bond turn down a drink though?
Yeah, but look what he's got. I'm so stupid I would have gone for that drink.
yeah. Tatiana, I'll be back in 40 minutes. 3 hours later. Tatiana, I hope you're ready and in the mood.
But she's mental.